10 rare diseases that curse people with superpowers. And it's not kryptonite. Have you caught a cold? Oh, how unlucky. All these nasty symptoms again: a runny nose, nonstop coughing, and also it hurts to eat. But you know what? Quit nagging! Your illness will pass in about a week. But imagine the life of those who suffer from chronic diseases. People tend to associate an illness with something unpleasant and often dangerous, and they have their reasons to think so. But there are some diseases which, unlike a common cold, look like superpowers, at least at first sight. In this video, you'll get acquainted with some of them. These rare diseases not only leave scientists confused, but also make their carriers similar to superheroes. Counting down, number 10. Supermemory. This condition is called hyperthymesia, a disruption of memory which causes a person to remember all the events of their life down to every last detail. There are just about 60 people in the world who have been diagnosed with such a unique disease. The patients can describe any day of their lives in amazing detail, recalling even the moments from their deep childhood. What's more, such people can recite lengthy extracts from books they read many years ago, retell a news broadcast of any day of any year, you name it. Do you think it's a gift these people are lucky to enjoy? Think again. Patients with hyperthymesia can't alter their memories or sugarcoat some unpleasant moments they would prefer to forget. They literally forget nothing. BBC once told the story of Rebecca Sharrock, an Australian writer who remembered how she was wrapped in a pink blanket at the tender age of 7. No, not years, not even months, 7 days old. Her memory is truly unique. She recites long extracts from Harry Potter without mixing up a single word. However, the young woman doesn't consider her hyperthymesia a superpower. She constantly suffers from headaches and insomnia and tires very fast. Number 9. Insensibility to pain. Inborn analgesia. That's a scientific name of the condition when a person doesn't feel pain. Like, at all. There is a surprising fact to think about. Despite the rareness of this disease, as many as 40 cases of it have been registered in one of the villages in Sweden. How can we explain such a phenomenon? Maybe it's the meatballs. What's your opinion? Share in the comments. At first sight, you may think that this could be a feature of real X-Men. The syndrome doesn't influence mental abilities or appearance. A person doesn't feel any pain, maximum other people's touches. In real life, this condition is dangerous. Usually, our body informs us about some problems it has, sending us signals in the form of pain. A patient with analgesia might miss the symptoms of the disease. They just won't hear the cries for help of their body. This illness is especially dangerous for little children. They can hurt themselves while playing, or accidentally cause damage to the cornea, bite the tip of their tongue off, or fail to notice that their bone is broken. Do you still think it's cool? Number 8. Abilities to literally do anything. Savant syndrome is a rare condition which might be typical for people with developmental disorders, such as autism or Asperger's syndrome. Patients with such condition are extremely talented in music, drawing and painting, calculations, cartography, and constructing 3D models. Savants can instantly provide you with the result of multiplications of 3-digit numbers, or say what day of the week will be the 5th of May, 3017. As an example, Stephen Wiltshire, a famous British architectural artist with the syndrome of savant, managed to draw a precise map of London after just one flight over the city. Many people call savants geniuses, and they are partially right. People with this syndrome have real talents in some fields, but despite such patches of genius, patients display inadequacy to the extent of the mental deficiency. Do you remember Forrest Gump from the novel of Winston Groom? Yeah, me either. I just saw the movie. Well, that is a well-known example of a savant. Number 7. Insensitivity to cold. Besides people who don't react to pain, there are those who are indifferent to cold. A vivid example is Wim Hof, a man from the Netherlands who brought doctors to their wits' end. The thing is, Wim is able to stand very low temperatures. He managed to spend 120 minutes in a pipe with freezing water and ice. Has climbed to the top of Mount Blanc wearing shorts and his pen – no, not really – and even swims under the ice of frozen lakes and rivers. Specialists consider this man to be a unique phenomenon, though Wim Hof himself believes that his insensitivity to cold is the result of the persistent training. Whatever it is, just imagine how much money you could save on winter clothes if you had such an ability. Number 6. Complete absence of fear. Urbach-Wiethe disease is a rare genetic disorder that leads to the complete lack of fear. Only 300 cases are known, and a quarter of them have been registered in South Africa. The most famous patient got the name "the woman who knows no fear." It is an American woman, SM. These initials have been given to her to maintain anonymity. The researchers used numerous ways to frighten her. She was given poisonous spiders and snakes to hold. The scientists made her watch horror films. The woman was locked in a haunted house. However, all their efforts were in vain. What is more, SM told them about terrible events from her life which still didn't manage to scare her. A knife attack in the park at night, a case of domestic violence she barely survived. The leader of the research team was surprised to find the woman still alive, despite the fact that she can't assess danger. Well, that sounds scary, doesn't it? Number 5. The vampire disorder. This disease has a difficult scientific name, but I will try. Hypohidrotic ectodermal dysplasia. Thank you very much. But its more widely spread name describes it perfectly. People suffering from this condition frequently have eerily pointed teeth, therefore looking similar to the legendary blood-feeding creatures from horror films. People with more prominent symptoms of this illness are extremely thin and pale. Their eyes are outlined with dark circles. Their teeth are typically pointed, hair is absent, and they probably don't like steaks. And I'm not talking about the beef kind. All kidding aside, the biggest problem for such patients is not being mistaken for a vampire. The situation is much dire. They always have to check their temperature and stay away from the sunlight. Also, it is vitally important to avoid hot weather. Why so? People with this disorder don't have sweat glands. As you know, these glands serve as a thermoregulating mechanism of our body. Imagine what can happen if it is broken. By the way, this is the most typical syndrome of the disorder. Sounds dramatic, but for example, actor Michael Berryman, who suffers from the disease, made a career playing horror movie characters. Anyway, now you know where the stories about vampires root from, right? Number 4. Octopus people. Polymylia is a strange disorder. People suffering from it are born with an unusual number of limbs. In some cases, these limbs are pretty useful. In others, they are non-functioning. Guess you wouldn't be overly excited about an extra leg or arm. But what would you say about a bigger number of extra limbs? For example, the case in Pakistan was particularly shocking. A baby was born with as many as 6 legs. A parasitic twin was to blame. In fact, the disease can affect any extremities – legs, arms, fingers, and in some cases even penis. Surely, surgeries removing extra body parts exist, but surprisingly, some individuals refuse to be operated. They think these body parts, fingers in particular, are useful, and feel reluctant to bid goodbye to them. Number 3. Stoneman syndrome. This syndrome is genetic. What's more, it progresses through life. People with such a disease have the soft tissues of their bodies turning to bone. The mutation of the ACVR1 gene, responsible for the development of different tissues of the human body, leads to terrible consequences. Muscles turn to bone, and joints fuse together. If doctors attempt to remove the bone surgically, the body starts to produce more bone tissue in that area. Luckily, only 1 in 2 million people suffers from this condition, because currently there is no existing treatment. Number 2. Werewolf syndrome. Do you regularly feel irritated getting rid of unwelcome hair growing on certain parts of your body? Relax and take a deep breath. It can't be as bad as the problem of those who suffer from hypertrichosis. The hair growth of such people is abnormal. All their bodies are covered with thick hair. It grows long and lush, even on their faces. The reason for this condition, which has gained the nickname werewolf syndrome, is most likely to be the genetic mutation. However, there have been some cases where this disease has been provoked by anti-balding treatment. So, be cautious with your wishes. Surely, usual methods of hair removal, shaving, waxing, or laser, are perfectly effective. But even the best of them only give short-lasting results. And number 1. Foreign accent syndrome. Bet any of you have tried to speak with a foreign accent at least once in your life. Have you been successful? And there are people who don't even need to try hard. Their countrymen will believe that they're tourists visiting the country on vacation. However, it is no fun for patients themselves. They speak with a foreign accent uncontrollably. What is even more surprising, people who have acquired French accent may have never visited France before. From time to time, such patients use several accents, sometimes even simultaneously. The most common reason for this condition is a head injury or a stroke. Well, that explains a few things.